It's been a long, arduous but peaceful resistance against Chinese occupation, and the Tibetans are not giving up, not as yet. Whether be it in Delhi or in Mcleodganj, where the actual Tibetan government-in-exile resides, there are large-scale sit-ins and dharnas and candlelight marches. They are, of course, opposing the visit of Chinese Premier Hu Jintao. Now, they are not only angry at Hu Jintao because he is the Chinese president, but also the Tibetans allege that when Hu Jintao was responsible for the Tibetan autonomous region, he was responsible for large-scale massacres. And the Tibetans are not forgetting that in a hurry.
He presided over one of the worst crackdowns in modern Tibetan history. He imposed martial law before martial law was even imposed in Tiananmen Square in Tibet in early '89. There was a series of protests and uprisings and unrest in Tibet through '87, '88, '89. So he has a bloody hand in Tibet. His crackdown, his tightening up of control there resulted in hundreds disappearing into prisons and, forget the ones who got prison sentences, but the ones who just disappeared. And he was rewarded for that. I think that's one thing Tibetans need to remember when we talk about maybe who will change or maybe he'll be the new man that will help us out. He proved he's a hardliner. He proved himself there, and he was not long after that given entry into the, core most senior levels of the Communist Party.
Yes, at many times we have requested not to demonstrate in the streets.
During the Hu Jintao's visit recently, Tibetan Women's Association became part of the program, and many asked me, your organization's stand is for middle path. You are seeking autonomy, and then you have participated in this protest. I said, this protest is a peaceful protest. Standing for middle path doesn't mean that we just keep shut, no matter what is happening. This platform should be created for Tibetans to come out with their feelings because of what has happened at Nangpala recently. That has disturbed all the Tibetans. And they are very sad, very hurt. And then, even then, if we say, oh, it's okay because we have to, preserve a conducive environment for dialogue, so let's not protest. I think it's not healthy because then all these feelings remains within you, it gets suppressed, and then it can come out in a very ugly form.
We're not a country right now. We're not a fully functioning government and democratic society. We're a movement. We're an exiled people. We're political refugees. And so, especially within the Tibetan community, even though we have our problems, Tibetan community is pretty much united behind the leadership of His Holiness in an exceptional way. And so those kind of requests are dangerous because it immediately pits people against themselves, in themselves.
There was another visit later by President Hu Jintao when he came to the United States and Canada. And the Tibetans were again asked by the Tibetan Prime Minister and the administration. They told us not to protest. And a lot of people didn't. I think people wanted to, but at the same time, people were really wary because you could easily be accused of trying to wreck the negotiations. If the negotiations didn't work out, then it's your fault. So people didn't want to. Everyone is a bit nervous about what to do.
We have very few weapons and very few things we can use against the Chinese. And the Chinese respect strength. They respect power. And street protests is clearly one of the things they dislike the most. They've said it. We've seen it in their internal documents. They think it's bad. They think it's harmful for them. So, therefore, for us, it's a sign that we should do it more. While we have so little power, so little strength to use against them, this is something that clearly we think has forced them to the table in the first place. And to give it up, or to have the Chinese think that they can ask and then we'll give it up, is dangerous because they're smart. And if they think they can take even bits of power and strength from our movement over time, who knows what they could do.
you don't protest. What else? Tell me, there is nothing you can do if you don't protest. Protest is your first direct response. Because most of the Tibetans believe in non-violence, they can take up non-violent direct action to protest the Chinese ongoing occupation of Tibet. And this is one power which with which we can work on our own. When you seek this autonomy and things like that, you are dependent on China. You have to ask for China to give you this, and if China doesn't give you anything, that's it. When you protest, the decision is completely yours, and you can go to any limit in this. This is our power.
Dalai Lama! Dalai Lama! हमें क्या चाहिए? हमें क्या चाहिए? हमें क्या चाहिए? तिब्बत में अत्याचार! Stop killing! Stop murdering! Stop the genocide!